So in this video, I'm going to compare the Shun Sora Paring Knife and the Wusthof Gourmet Paring Knife. And the reason I'm doing this is because they're both the entry-level knives by the respective companies. And on top of that, they're both actually in the same price range as well. So it really just makes sense to make this comparison. Off the bat, the point of a paring knife is to hold it in your hand like this and feed food into it. And the entire reason you do that is to, one, peel things, and two, break things down into smaller pieces. For example, taking a big thing of broccoli and breaking it down into the smaller florets. So it's not actually used to chop on a cutting board. It's a big mistake that people sometimes make. Off the bat, these knives are much more different than they are similar, unlike a couple of other knives that I've compared. The Shun is a handmade forged knife from Japan. The Wusthof is a machine-made stamped knife from Germany. On top of that, the actual material used in the blade and the actual blade itself is way different. The Shun is made from VG10 steel, which is the sort of, I guess, gold standard steel in knife making right now. It's very hard, it's very resilient, and it holds an edge very well. The Wusthof is made from their own proprietary steel, and it's a much softer steel. So the Shun is a 61 hardness, and the Wusthof is about a 58 hardness. And what that means is the Wusthof is going to lose its edge much faster. It's going to need to be honed and sharpened much more often, and that just means more maintenance and more dull cutting. On top of that, to make it sort of a little bit worse, the Wusthof has an 18.5-degree angle, which is actually a very sort of hardy and not so sharp angle, and the Shun has a 16-degree angle. And to put that in perspective, with the Shun, if I just did this right now, you would hear a bunch of clink, and all my hairs would fall off my arm. And if I did that with the Wusthof, it would just go and then nothing would happen to my arm at all. So there's a big difference in sharpness. The Shun is actually wrapped on either side with stainless steel, and that does two things. Number one, you get this gorgeous sort of wave design on the blade. And number two, it becomes very resistant against rust, pitting, staining, and things like that. Both handles are plastic. The Shun has a sort of traditional Japanese style handle, while the Wusthof has a more traditional European style handle. Both are pretty ergonomic. One thing that I really like about the Shun is it has this sort of, I don't know, divot area there, and when you hold it with your hands, it fits in perfectly. So even with a paring knife, when you hold it like this, it just sort of morphs to your knuckle very nicely and makes it that much more easy to cut with it. The other interesting thing is that both knives essentially have a full tang. The Wusthof most definitely has a full tang. You can see it right here. It's very nice. It's very thick and it's very meaty. It's the same thickness as the actual knife. The Shun has something called a rabbit tang, and it's the way they used to make like old samurai swords. It ends about right here. But in terms of practical use, that's going to work exactly the same way as a full tang, and this is why. When you're holding the knife, the pivot point is so far back in your hand, there's never a risk of the knife coming out of the handle. You're essentially using the whole tang as a handle. So in actual practical use, it's going to work exactly the same as a full tang, so I don't really think there is a negative between the two on that. The last thing is they both also essentially have a lifetime warranty. The Wusthof has a lifetime warranty that's known. The Shun comes with a 10-year warranty, but this is my logic. Both cover manufacturer defects, obviously, and any manufacturer defect is going to show up well before the 10-year mark. So anything from 10 years on is just sort of lip service to you. What the Shun does also come with that I love is free lifetime sharpening. And this is why I love it. If you take this knife to a reputable sharpener who does it by hand, it's going to cost you about $5 per inch to sharpen, which means both of these knives are going to be about $15 to $20 alone just to sharpen, and even then there are always horror stories. With the Shun, you give it to them, they look at it, if they see any problems, they throw it away and give you a new one. But otherwise, you can rest easy knowing they're going to put the exact same edge back on the knife that you first fell in love with. And they're going to do it for free, which I think makes it a no-brainer. Either way, these are both good knives. I definitely think the Sora is the better line for all the reasons that I mentioned. It uses better steel, it's a sharper blade, it's wrapped in stainless steel, it's handmade, it's forged, and it comes with lifetime free sharpening. But either way, if you really like the German style knife, this is also a good knife to have, I think. But I would definitely suggest other brands ahead of it. I'll put a link down to both below. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, as always, let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to you very soon.